This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Let's going to WrestleMania. Claymore! Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
This is my iron. You're gonna acknowledge me.
All right, well, Monday Night Raw, another one in the books, the final one of the European tour. We're back in the States starting on Friday in Chicago, so it's not going to be a quiet crowd, even by U.S. standards, so it's going to be I believe a huge Friday Night SmackDown back in the States. It feels like we've been overseas for months. I can't remember another time where we had this much time pre-Mania overseas. Sometimes you spend a week, you get like a Raw and SmackDown. This has been like 6 shows straight. I mean, it's just, I'm ready for the United States crowds to be back. I know you guys in Europe have enjoyed yourselves in Scotland and in London. I mean, all of you have had a blast, and I'm sure you're loathing them coming back to the States. But here we are. We're just a couple of weeks away from WrestleMania and 2 weeks and change. And then WrestleMania is going to come and go as it does every year. And we'll be looking forward to what's next. What's SummerSlam? What about next year's WrestleMania? And then on and on we go. But if you want to go ad free, and there's going to be a lot more shows coming up, guys, patreon.com/WWE podcast gives you a week free of ad-free everything. So if you don't like those ads that you hear about every 10 minutes on the show, you can get rid of those over on Patreon. And speaking of which, I want to welcome a new member, Robert Garcia. Welcome to the WWE Podcast family. I hope you enjoy it. Matt Dorsey. I don't think I said I gave you a shout out. So Matt Dorsey, welcome. Michael Wolforst. I think I said that right. So Mike Wolforst, thank you. Matt Dorsey, and of course, Robert Garcia. So thank you to all who are starting to join us as WrestleMania season reaches its peak, and it's going to be coming and going real quick. So big Monday Night Raw last night, a big one from London. Yes, we'll get to the John Cena and Cody Rhodes promo, the final appearance by John Cena until WrestleMania 41. Reportedly, he could be showing up randomly at the final SmackDown or the final Raw, but if he doesn't, and this is it, I mean, they've done a really good job with building as much as they could, and I like how they focus more this week on, instead of Cena attacking the crowd, he's going after his opponent for WrestleMania, which is where he should be focusing now, and there was a little bit of physicality, so we'll talk about all of that. But I want to start, actually, believe it or not, despite the fact that I know that most people are talking about Cody and Cena, is on the women's side of things with Bianca and Io and Rhea. So we had Bianca as a special guest referee for the Women's World Championship match between Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. A match that I thought was good. It was a little bit slow at points. We had the dynamic of Bianca not really knowing how to be a referee at all, which is understandable. She's a wrestler. But the curse of being hit as a referee continues. The complete ineptitude of being a referee. I mean, you put that referee shirt on, or whatever lack of thereof she put on, and you get hit and you're down. I mean, you are down for hours. I don't know what it is. You could get hit with that ensiguri kick. Was that the one that Io hit Bianca with by accident? And then there were some intentional ones by Rhea. And then there was a drop kick by Io on Bianca. All of those moves, if they happened during a match, they would have just like sold it for 3 seconds and got back up. But as a referee, if you take any bumps as a referee, you're down for an infinity amount of time. It's just hilarious. So Bianca, though, I think she did the right thing here as a character in her story. It made sense that based on the abuse she was taking, some accidental, some intentional, by both Io and Rhea, that she ends up giving a double disqualification. If it was a regular referee, they would have done the same thing. So she did the right thing per the WWE rules. Now, I still don't know if WWE's intent is to turn Bianca heel, but there were some heelish moments that she had. Beyond the fact that giving a double DQ is going to immediately make the crowd boo, she gave some facials that were a little bit heelish, a little bit nasty, and I don't know if that's a sign of things to come. I think we're going to find out next week on Raw. What are they? Minneapolis, I think they are. And we'll find out there how the crowd reacts to her. I'm very, very curious how they react. Now, they could certainly show up on SmackDown because there's no draft rule enforcement at all. But assuming they don't, next week in Milwaukee, or is it? No, I'm sorry, Minneapolis. The crowd there, I think, is going to set the tone for the rest of the Build-A-Mania for Bianca. Now, we all knew this is going to end up at a triple threat. It hasn't officially happened yet, but this is, for all intents and purposes, where it's going. There's just no other path that it could go. I mean, if Bianca's left out, where's she going? Getting herself into the Jade situation with Naomi? I don't think so. And Naomi and Jade right now, I think, are on a really good path. So we don't need having Bianca muddy the waters there. She can insert herself later. There's, life beyond WrestleMania. Life does exist beyond WrestleMania, and I think that's where we should go. But more imminently, with Bianca Belair likely being inserted into this matchup, Rhea Ripley likely being inserted into this matchup, not Bianca, because Bianca's already got the shot. We are going to have that triple threat. Rhea Ripley will find her way into it. It's all but certain, given the fact we got a double DQ. It sets it up perfectly. It's just a matter of, does Bianca officially turn heel? And I think we kind of need it, because we have Io Sky, who has organically turned babyface with the fans supporting her, although not as much this week. We got Rhea Ripley, who is a close second to Io, and Bianca, before getting booed a few weeks ago, was a babyface too, and she still is on paper. So somebody's got to turn here, and we've seen Rhea Ripley as a heel. We've seen Io Sky as a heel most of her career, at least on the main roster, buried in Damage Control. So this time around, it's time for Bianca. And why not? Why not? It's, we've seen this version of Bianca Belair for the last 5 years. Shake it up, man. Have her join Naomi. Naomi's doing awesome things on SmackDown right now, with her caution tape and her just uncanny ability to well up tears anytime she wants. It's fascinating. It's just, sometimes people turn, whether it's babyface or heel, but usually heel, from being a good guy for so long, or good gal. And you say to yourself, where the hell has this been? And it's just been there bubbling under the surface all along, and they were only able to show this side of themselves. They were having to hide the dark side, and when they bring that dark side out, it's a breath of fresh air. So I'm thoroughly enjoying thus far Naomi, and I hope Bianca Belair follows suit. I'm curious to know what you guys think. Do you think Bianca should turn heel, or do you think we should wait to see how the crowds in the United States act? Now, it's not that the United States crowds are more important, but they're more frequent, which means the viewer at home gets more of a perception of how the crowd feels based on the United States crowds, because we are in the United States most of the time. So I think the United States, depending on how we act towards Bianca, which I'm going to be keeping a very close ear to next Monday, will dictate how things move forward. I think WWE at this point is considering turning her heel. How can you not? Maybe you're going to fight an uphill battle for no reason, trying to keep her a babyface. There's no need. I think we've got all we can out of the babyface run for Bianca at this point. But, all right. So that's that. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is a sleeper match here. A match that didn't get a lot of attention, but I think up until this week was doing a better job than the build to the World Championship match with Jay and Gunther. Yes, we'll get to that. We are going to get to the bloody mess that Jimmy Uso was left in. We'll get to that. But the match between Logan Paul and AJ Styles, which is official for WrestleMania, this matchup and the build last night, I think was really well done. And it has been just a very easy to understand, solid wrestling build of just a traditional pro wrestling build. There's an egotistical young upstart, and we got the grizzled veteran who's beloved by fans. And you want him to shut down and shut up this loudmouth egomaniac from YouTube. And yeah, obviously he's much more than that, but some still view him as such. Logan, whatever you want to say about him, I don't have any personal love for him, but you just have to respect his ability. And if you don't, you're lying to yourself. The dude is well ahead of his time. Everything he touches becomes a success. He's got his own energy drink line, or I don't even know, sports drink line that's massively successful. He had his own YouTube channel, one of the most successful YouTube channels. He did boxing for a hot minute and was really good. He got into WWE and off we go. I mean, and now he's dedicating to this full time. He's just turned 30. He's in the prime of his life. And I tweeted this out or posted it on X, however we phrase it nowadays. And I said that we could be looking, love or hate him, over the next 10 years, Logan Paul morphing into one of the faces of the company. Regardless of how you feel about him personally, it doesn't really matter because crowds react to him. He's confident. He doesn't look like he's playing a character anymore. He doesn't look like he's uncomfortable and unsure of himself. He understands kind of who and what he is. And he's got an awesome finish, the pulverizer. Is it as generic and cartoonish of a name as you can get? Yeah. The pulverizer. I mean, that sounds like what you'd, if you were 6 years old, 7 years old, what you'd name your finish move, right? If you're wrestling around with your friends. Yeah, my finish is the pulverizer. You know, it does sound a little childish for a finish. The name isn't great, but the execution, which is more important, is spot on. And I loved what he did to AJ. You know, AJ tried to go after him, hit Styles Clash after their battle of their battle of the words, and he ends up not being able to hit it. Logan Paul gets the advantage. Bam, pulverizer, and he stands tall, and then Adam Pearce makes the match. So this match, I have to say, while it doesn't have a ton of depth, I'm okay with that. Not every match needs to have 8 layers of an onion that you need to peel back to understand what's going on. There's not much to understand here, and that's okay. It's about who's the better man. It's about a veteran versus an upstart egomaniac rookie. And this match has the potential to be match of the night. Do I think it will be? I don't, in all likelihood, probably not. But it's one that I think we're going to come away with going, oh my God. It's going to be one of those matches we come away with and say, we knew this was going to be a good match, but this exceeded expectations. And there are going to be a couple of spots, I think, that are going to blow us away, whatever they come up with. Logan Paul is just, yes, he is big on spots, but more importantly, I think he's starting to mature, or if you're, if you pronounce it mature, we're not friends. But that's, I think, a thing that no one's talking about too, is his maturity as a wrestler, as a performer, has really, I think, taken off. He understands psychology a little more, selling a lot more. When he first started, he wouldn't sell a damn thing. You know, he was too worried about getting up for the next move, instead of worrying about psychology and understanding what you need to sell and make the crowd feel like you're in pain and all the rest that comes with selling. And he started to understand that concept a lot more. Is he a finished product? No. Am I an apologist for Logan Paul? No. I mean, so I'm not sitting here with a big love fest for Logan Paul, but I understand a star when I see one, and I think you guys do too. And barring injury, barring some career change that he wants to make, I think he could be in the next, hell, starting even in the next couple of years, he could start to be one of the faces of the company. I could even see a major title run in his future, and I'm not talking U.S. or Intercontinental. I'm talking world title. That could be in his future in the next 1 to 2 years. Dare I say sooner? Would anybody really lose their minds if Logan Paul became world champion? There's a case to be made for it. You know he can work his ass off. He can make anybody look good. People want to work with a guy like that. So I'm not advocating for it right now for him to become champion. There's time. But this match with AJ Styles, at least for now, is going to be a great way to get more eyeballs on him at WrestleMania, make both guys look good. Ultimately, Paul is probably going to win that match. And he should. I think he should if they're going to try to move him into a world title position, or at least a contender for the world championship heading into the spring and summer. So that was another thing. Now, Gunther and Jay. Let me talk about this. I have been very critical for a long time about this program because it has essentially been rinse and repeat. Every single week, for weeks on end, was people are apparently telling Jay, I don't know who is. I mean, Jimmy told them last week, but the whole narrative is we're all supposed to believe, at least we're being told we're supposed to believe that Jay can't beat Gunther. Jay can't beat Gunther. And Gunther is too big, too strong, too scary. And Jay just can't overcome him. We're all supposed to just buy into that narrative and, away we go. But I didn't buy into that. I didn't think that they had a great strategy for the last several weeks of just having Gunther attack from behind, maybe a little bit of a little bit of payback from Jay on Gunther, but ultimately, Gunther escapes. And that's what it's been. That sleeper hold from behind, the sleeper hold from behind. Last week, Jimmy slaps Gunther, and there you have a match this week. And lo and behold, we get the match. Match really wasn't what was the conversation piece here, and rightfully so, because this was simply about Jay and Gunther and how they're going to build this. Now, when Jay came out to save his brother after Gunther was just trying to destroy his brother, Jay comes out, tries to make the save on his brother, and initially does, but we have zip ties, or a zip tie, on Jay that Gunther had and tied him up to the rope. And this allowed Gunther to absolutely destroy Jimmy Uso. And in a way that was uncomfortable. In a way that you're thinking, all right, this is something new. I'm at least interested. I know I was when it started, because they had done the same thing for 4 weeks. Having Jimmy out there, his flesh and blood, no pun intended, being destroyed in front of him by Gunther. Gunther then brings Jimmy, a bloodied Jimmy, over to Jay. Jay's, grabbing onto his brother, trying to save him. Jay isn't able to hold on. Gunther power bombs him. He even called him a wussy with a P in front of it. You could hear that on camera, by the way. That was the first time I've ever heard anybody in a long time hear that word on air and not have it bleeped out. So that I really I thought that was a great way to put some sympathy on Jay, to heat up this rivalry to a point now where you're like, okay, we've seen this match before, but now this is a lot more personal. This is getting deeper. This has, quote unquote, gone too far. And it was a nice change. I had been saying, as many have, that something needed to change in this rivalry. Something needed to change in the build. And we got it. And Jimmy being bloodied with Gunther standing there holding the world championship with Jimmy's blood on him is going to be an iconic photo that likely Gunther has already framed and put in his house. It'll be one of those photos that, if I were him, when I look back at my career, that's going to be one of the pictures that I have. Holding the world championship with an opponent's blood all over me. And in the foreground, you have Jimmy's bloody carcass. It's just an awesome photo. It's an awesome photo. And I have it up on Patreon. This is actually the picture of this episode. If you're on Patreon, you can see it. It's immediately an iconic photo for Gunther, and one that you could even use in video packages. Hell, you could use that as part of the signature start of the show, the open of the show. You could slide that in there. It's awesome. That's the Gunther I've been waiting for. That's the violence that I think this needed. And not just violence for violence sake and blood for blood's sake, although we all have a thirst for that, whether we admit it or not. But depth to the story, sympathy for Jay. And it added everything it really needed to add. Is it totally done where we're thinking, okay, this program is good, I don't need any more hype? No. This program, I think, still needs to move forward. And there's some things to do and say. Maybe next week is a kind of sit-down satellite interview like they did with Tiffany Stratton in Charlotte a couple weeks ago on SmackDown. Something like that. Or they could just do another brawl, a pull-apart brawl, although those have been incredibly overused. So they're kind of running out of things that they can do over the next couple weeks without trying to repeat what they've already done. And I mean, here's what I would like. Although I don't think they trust Jay, which is why it hasn't happened. Have them go face-to-face in a back-and-forth promo at length. Not in a 2-minute kind of sprint promo, but a lengthy back-and-forth promo is what I would like to see those two in. Much like with John Cena and Cody Rhodes, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So, that's maybe what they do, but now that they've resorted to violence and he's bloodied his brother, we're probably past that. But the only criticism I would have out of that whole segment, and it's just one thing, Jay did not show the appropriate amount of emotion. At times he looked emotionless. And you're thinking, okay, can you just fake like you're, in emotional pain for a little bit? And he had quick moments of it, but not enough. Most of the time he's just trying to struggle to get away from the zip tie, even though he knew he couldn't. What we wanted to see and what we should have seen is Jay nearly in tears, yelling, screaming, just in emotional anguish. And I didn't get that from Jay. It was moments of just a little yelling, but not nearly enough for me to believe that you're actually in emotional turmoil. So I think he definitely could have ramped that up a lot. And that's a missed opportunity for Jay. He was a little bit too vanilla for the situation. I mean, given seeing your brother's skull, quote unquote, get cracked open, and you're just standing there, I'm just trying to get away. I'm just, reaching for you instead of, screaming in pain, trying to come up with even some crocodile tears, something. So that's the one criticism. But overall, an effective segment for Monday Night Raw. Okay. So we talked about the women, we talked about AJ Styles, we talked about Logan Paul and Jimmy and Gunther. Let's talk about Cody Rhodes. Let's talk about John Cena, because I know this is really the topic of the day for a lot of people. So let's start. Cody Rhodes comes out. He's in his pinstripe suit. Cody told Cena to allow him to do his job for him. And that's because Cena he's already in the ring. John Cena sucks chance, so Cody comes out to interrupt him. And Cody said he has a bit of a lisp because there's so much to make fun of him, so much about him to make fun of him. He used Stardust as an example, his lisp, and Cody said it has to bother Cena to be wrestling Stardust in the main event of WrestleMania 41. And Cody said he has an arm tattoo that's on his neck. And Cody said Cena's words don't match his actions and accused him of lying to the audience over the last 2 weeks, and said he used to ride with Cena. He said he knows that Cena cared for him and even more so for the fans, And he told him to look at the fans and tell them why. And that's when people chanted, "You sold out." Cena said he would not reduce himself and punch down to Cody's level just to protect him. And he said that Cody has been protected long enough and that he's going to bury Cody just like everyone else. He said, quote, "They've been saying for a year that John Cena buries talent. I don't bury talent. I am talent. I bury mediocrity." Oh, man. There are so many money lines in this particular promo. I don't know where to really begin. That's one of them. He doesn't bury talent. He buries mediocrity. Man, oh man. And it gets even better. So Cena told Cody that he doesn't give a damn about his lisp or his failures. He spoke of Cody's ego and accused him of riding his coattails. Cena said Cody is nothing more than his chauffeur. "There's your why, Cody. Well, you with that WWE Championship belt disgusts me." He said that Cody wants to be undeniable, but he's still underwhelming. And he recalled Cody telling Cody to be authentic, but he's too perfect and polished. Cena said Cody relies on the fans singing his name over and over to get by, and laughed at Cody when the crowd took his cue by singing his name. And he said, if you take away Cody's entrance, there's not much to look at aside from a pinstripe suit. You know, there hasn't been a whole lot of things I agree with on John Cena's, in his promos, especially when he was a babyface. Some of it was just stomach churning. One of the most successful talents that's ever come through professional wrestling. But this was just, that's exactly what I've been saying. So you take away his entrance. I just said this the other day. You take away Cody's entrance, what's left? You have a guy that's a good promo, good in the ring, dyes his hair blonde, and you take away the woes and the pyro and the catchy tune, what's left? So there's some truth to that. That's what made this promo so great. Cena said Cody's afraid to show who he is and gives viewers a generic mix of every superstar or TV show that he's ever watched. He said he comes off like a generic blob who is still afraid of public speaking. And he worked too hard to make the title a symbol of mastery, to have it carried around by a Nepo baby who is so into himself that he has his wrestling gimmick tattooed for the world to see. And he said that it's not where the tattoo's at, it's what it is. He said the tattoo exposes Cody as a common fan, and said the last real champion is taking the title home and will expose Cody for being an errand boy who got lucky. There's your why, pal. I mean, John Cena is just still a master on the mic. Anybody that believes that Cody Rhodes won this promo, quote unquote, you don't, you're just in denial. Cody Rhodes lost this. If this was like a presidential debate and you were keeping score, Cody Rhodes loses. He brought up some fun and good points with John Cena, and we had another one here too, and we'll talk about it. But overall, John Cena, as the kids would say, cooked Cody Rhodes. I would say, though, that he talked about how it's not the tattoo itself, it's where, or I'm sorry, not where the tattoo is at, but what the tattoo exposes as a common fan. Common fans don't get wrestling tattoos, though. So I know what he's going for there, but as a fan and talking with many fans and seeing thousands of fans over the years, most do not have a tattoo. So that's not a common practice among common fans. So it's a little bit of a stretch there, John. But Cody said the fans chose him and asked if Cena can say the same, or if it was the one guy in the office who chose him that's not there anymore. Yeah, obviously referring to Vince McMahon. Cody said he's a wrestler like his father before him, and said that if anyone is a company creation, it's Cena. He said everyone is afraid of Cena on the mic, but he's not, because he knows Cena has more blank in his promo than in his jorts. A little bit of I can't say it on the show, but Cody said Cena makes fun of him for looking like he's 16 and taking public speaking lessons, but Cena's the one hanging out with Zac Efron wishing he was 16 And Cody asked Cena which one of them sold out to The Rock. Another "you sold out" chant broke out, and he said, "John, you're still my hero, but you're also a piece of blank." Couple things. So Cody Rhodes with these shocking, profanities over the last several weeks. He said BS before. It's like they're giving Cody Rhodes the road to just be able to say these profanities that you've never really been able to say on WWE TV before, which is eventually it's the shock of it wears off, and you're just like, oh, cool, wow, he said that word that I've said probably 400,000 times, that you've heard in public, you've heard from your friends, you hear at work, and you never hear on WWE TV, but now you've heard it a few times. And I wouldn't lean on profanities too much more to get your point across. I have nothing against profanity, but the more you use it, the less it means. Now, one other important point here, and this is a really important point, is they mentioned The Rock finally. However brief, The Rock was mentioned. That Cody asked Cena which of them sold out to The Rock. Now, that was really the only mention of The Rock, but hell, at least The Rock was mentioned. So that's a start, a very, very slow, pathetic start, but it is one, of what The Rock's role was in all of this. One of the biggest heel turns in the company. Why did The Rock do what he did? What was in it for Cena? Why was Cena convinced by The Rock? What's the long-term plan? On and on. By the way, speaking of massive heel turns, what was it? 24 years ago today, Austin turned heel at WrestleMania against The Rock. Just wanted to say that. It's the 24-year anniversary of Stone Cold Steve Austin turning heel. In other news, Cena smiled and said that just like all the people, Cody's brain is filled with feces rather than facts. He said he's worked harder than anyone and was never protected by an audience or a star from taking their best shot at him. He said no one has been worthy enough to put him in the ground, and said he decided to do it himself. He said he never left. He's always been there, and said no matter what garbage he's given, he finds a way to make it great. And said Cody had to leave because at his best, he realized he can't wipe Cena's ass. Cena said that he makes empires for billionaires. All you've ever done is steal money from their kids. That was a good line. Cena said, see you at WrestleMania, champ. And that's when Cody called for Cena to stop as he was on the apron. And Cody told Cena that no crowd has ever chanted, "You can't wrestle," at him. And Cena returned to the ring, was about to hit Cody, smiled, looked like he was going to back away, then went for a cheap shot. But Cody ends up reversing it into a crossroads and hits him with the crossroads and stands there. So, lot to digest there. You could dissect everything that was said here. I won't do that, but what I will say, high level takeaways from this. One, The Rock was mentioned. Again, good start. It got ultra personal. Good. It needed to. Cena's focus went back from the crowd, attacking the crowd the last 2 weeks, to attacking his opponent for WrestleMania. I just wish he was there for the final Raw and SmackDown. I mean, maybe he still will show up. He's unadvertised or something. But it just sucks that we're going to have almost 3 weeks of no John Cena to build to a highly anticipated match. But I'm fine with the crossroads getting hit on Cena. Crowd loved it. And it's a little bit of revenge for Cody. And I don't know if this is something that is a kind of a foreshadowing of Cody and means Cody's going to end up losing, because if Cody gets the last laugh on John, especially physically before WrestleMania, more often than not, but certainly not a hard and fast rule, the person who gets the advantage before the PLE is the one who loses. Again, I'm not saying that for sure. I don't have my official predictions yet. There's still too much TV to go and too many twists and turns that could happen here. But it was fun to see him get a crossroads on Cena, I have to admit. But it is going to be funny. One crossroads, which is one of the worst looking finishes I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it's clearly Cody taking the bump. It's not even like plausible that it looks like John could be the one taking the bump and how devastating it is. It is one of the most cushy, soft finishes I've ever seen in my life, only second to Big E's big ending. But that said, that's not my point. My point is, this essentially knocked out John Cena. He sold it as if he was knocked out for several minutes. Yet at WrestleMania, it's going to take a minimum of 5 to put him down. He's going to kick out of 3 or 4 of them. And you know I'm right. It's just funny that he gets hit with one crossroads here and he's out like a light in a coma. But boy, you hit 1, 2, 3, nope, kick out, nope, 4, kick out, 5, okay, maybe at 5. And that's just been, you think I'm exaggerating, go back and look at Cody Rhodes' kickouts of finishes, especially in main events. Look at last year's WrestleMania 40. It might have been 5 crossroads total that it took, maybe more. I mean, Cody Rhodes routinely gets the 3, 4, 5 crossroads in a match, but yet one put John Cena down and lights out. So, alrighty. So let's continue here. We got New Day taking on New Catch Republic, who are back. Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. Bate's hair is just shorter than it was prior to his long layoff, which was caused by a torn pec muscle, which is, I think he looks good like that, to be honest. This match lasted, what's the timestamp? 8 minutes and 45 seconds, with New Day getting the victory. The finish had Dunne do the finger snap bit on Woods. Kingston hit Dunne with the SOS, near fall. A short time later, Bate then set up for a springboard move, but Kingston pulled him down from the floor, and then he tagged in, joined Woods in hitting a daybreak on Dunne, and then Kingston covered Dunne for the victory. And then as New Day was heading to the back, Xavier gave the death stare to a young fan as Kathy Kelly approached them for an interview, and then Kingston said that they did what they said they were going to do, and Kingston demanded a shot at the World Tag Team titles. And that's when the War Raiders, Eric and Ivar, come out, and they had biker gear, which I liked, and they held up their tag titles in front of Kingston and Woods. So again, some news here. Again, not exactly earth-shattering news, but news nonetheless that the New Catch Republic is back. The War Raiders have a new look. And we could be seeing a World Tag Team title match, at least involving, maybe more, the New Day versus the War Raiders for the World Tag Team titles. Now, does Big E somehow get involved to screw the New Day? That, I think, is highly possible. In fact, likely. So, what do we have? Again, we already went through the Gunther and Jimmy Uso match. We went through... Oh, we did not go through this yet. Let's talk about... let's see. We got Intercontinental Champion Braun Breaker and Penta taking on Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio with Carlito. And the finish, or rather the length of the match, was 9 minutes, but Penta went up for a late Panama Sunrise on Balor. Dom broke it up. Breaker went for a spear on Balor, but ended up taking out Penta accidentally. And then Balor tossed Breaker to ringside. Dom dropkicked Breaker through the ropes. Balor hit Penta with a coup de grace and pinned him. And that's Penta's first loss, which is fine. Penta can't go on a winning streak that goes too long. You need to cut it off, make him human, give the fans a reason to want to see him win. If you don't have a loss to come back from, you can only ascend so high before the fans actually want you to lose so they can try to build you back up and get revenge. If you win all the time, there's nobody to get revenge on. So it's time, and I'm fine with it. And we have Balor and Dom beat Breaker and Penta. And people are talking about a potential tag team with Penta and Breaker. Not yet. Not yet. I mean, that might be a fun one down the line with them as tag team champions. But for now, no. Breaker has his own business going on here with the Intercontinental Championship. So backstage, Chad Gable told Adam Pearce that El Grande Americano was a great signing. And Chad said he had a doctor's note to get him out of a match. And Pearce said it's a shame that Gable won't be ready for Raw in Minneapolis next week. Gable said it's his hometown and he'd be good. Pearce told him there's nothing more important than his health, and he'd already made arrangements for Americano to compete instead. So, yes, we will see Grande Americano next week in Minneapolis or in Chad Gable's hometown. We know we're going to. I think that Chad Gable's he's reinventing his career with this gimmick. I know it's kind of a side gimmick, but it could end up being one of those things that just catches fire. People are already losing their minds over it for good and bad on social media. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for controversy. If you need a little bit of a reinvention, if you need some attention on yourself, it's a good way to do it. And I think Chad Gable's in a really good position here. So we then got the Logan Paul and AJ Styles segment, which I already talked about. We have backstage in the third hour here, Jackie Redmond speak with the Women's Intercontinental Champion, Lyra Valkyria, who thanked Bayley for having her back with Liv and Raquel. And Valkyria said she was and will make it clear that she can stand on her own 2 feet. Valkyria said Bayley is the only person who beat her since she won the title, and it's driving her crazy. Valkyria said they would have a rematch for the IC title on next week's Raw, and the crowd sang Bayley's song. So that's going to go nowhere. It's good for Bayley. Good for the Intercontinental title. But, the outcome is just... You would think, although in the Triple H era, you never know, there's no need to change the title. Is Lyra Valkyria doing a decent job as IC champion? I guess so. She does need a little bit more of a personality for those that don't really follow her, didn't follow her up until she got to the main roster. She needs more of an introduction. And this is good. Having her interviews with Jackie Redmond or any kind of pre-taped interview is good. Anything that can give her some kind of foundation that the fans who don't know who she is until she came here can kind of grasp onto. So what else do we have here? We've got the main event, which we already talked about at length with Io Sky and the special referee of Bianca Belair. So Monday Night Raw, let me just count this out here. 4 matches. There were 4 matches on Monday Night Raw. That's actually kind of... SmackDown, I think, had 6 or 7 this week. Raw is certainly the, kind of the entertainment-y show. And each match was, 7 to 10 minutes long. That tells you all you need to know about how many breaks there are and backstage segments and everything else on Raw. I think last week's was the same thing. All right, so I know there's still people, and I just want to address this because it keeps coming up. There are still people who believe that that people are booing Bianca because of her skin color. There are still people who are putting this all over X, branding the entire continent of Europe as all racists. No. Okay. It's a little bit difficult, and actually the burden of proof is almost insurmountably high if you are going to label an entire group of people on a continent as racist, as everyone is doing something because of the reason that you want it to be. It's people aren't booing Bianca because she's black. Okay. There's nobody. I can almost guarantee you if you talk to these people, because that's the only way you'd really know. I know that many people just wouldn't believe them or whatever, but you can't get inside people's heads. But most people, the vast majority, are booing her simply because they find her character a little bit obnoxious. They're ready for a change from Bianca. And they're telling you that right now. And Bianca as a heel is way more intriguing because we've seen her as a babyface for 5+ years. That's really it. There's not much more to it. There's not much more to it at all. So I know that people are they want to grasp onto that, and they keep grasping onto that. That's the only possible logical explanation. There's nothing else that it could even conceivably be other than her skin color. It's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. So, I mean, anyway, I just wanted to bring that up because it keeps coming up on social media because they continue to boo her. Some other news here. I got a little bit of extra time. Not much. But according to Wrestling Inc., this is an article about Charlotte Flair addressing her reaction to her return this past year. And this is, again, quoting Wrestling Inc. It says, following a 14-month injury-related hiatus, Charlotte returned by winning the Rumble and securing her championship opportunity against Tiffany Stratton. She said that for the polarizing reaction, it's not necessarily a bad thing. She said, quote, I think there's a misconception that people are like, oh, Charlotte Flair is good, or that I was trying to be good. She said, quote, I keep going, and not that she's trying to be good or she's trying to be bad. No, Charlotte Flair is above being good and bad. She is just Charlotte Flair. She's the end-all, be-all of women's wrestling. I'm the end-all, be-all of women's wrestling. Now that I've learned from every opportunity, I've learned from every opponent, I've learned from every scenario, to me, you're either wooing or booing. Get on board, learn to love it. So, this is such a cop-out response. It's a Vince McMahon response. Actually, it's beyond Vince McMahon. It's baked into the culture of WWE. I think Vince cultivated it, and he just baked it into the fabric of the company that, well, you're not good or bad. You're just you. And as long as there's noise, which is just a cop out for failure. It's a cop out for failure because there is good and bad in pro wrestling. People in real life, yes, people in real life are shades of gray. You are shades of gray. I am shades of gray. We've got good in us. We've got bad in us. We've got good sides, bad side to us. We've got traits that are undesirable. Most of us have really good traits that others don't. And we know how, I'm a human. You're a human. We know how this is. But in pro wrestling, we don't need it to be super complicated. We need it to just be easy to understand and watch. I don't want to have to watch and go, I don't know if they're good or bad. She's just being her. Isn't that great? No. That's what they use when they don't get the reaction that they want. The desired reaction is something that they try to achieve every week, every segment, every match, every moment. There's a specific reaction that they're looking to get from the audience. And when they don't get it, they just fall back on this crutch of, well, I'm not good or bad. I'm just me. No, it means you failed. Okay. No, you guys you're being loud and that's what matters. And no, it doesn't. No, that's not true. Okay. The best stories told are when there are clear-cut good and bad guys in pro wrestling. Same in movies, same in television. I understand in life we all have good and bad in us, and there's shades of gray. Shades of gray in pro wrestling, or shades of gray in any form of entertainment, will lead to apathy. It'll lead to just kind of indifference. It'll go, well, excuse me, this person's got some really good stuff and bad stuff. I don't know how to feel as long as they're being themselves. No, that's not how watching entertainment should be. That's a crutch of failure. I'm not saying Charlotte Flair is a failure. Let me get that straight and be very clear. I did not say Charlotte Flair is a failure. She is already a Hall of Famer. She is a legend in women's professional wrestling. That's just a fact. I've got, I'm not blinded by this overuse of, covering for a failure of a particular reaction that you're trying to emote because it's something that so many people say. I'm not blinded by it. I understand what Charlotte Flair's legacy is, and it's a hell of a legacy. But just more generally, you hear this all the time. I'm not trying to be good or bad. I'm just Charlotte. Okay, yeah, whatever. I just shrug my shoulders. Just, yeah, whatever. Sure. Yeah, if that makes you feel better. If that makes you feel better, they're creative. If it makes you feel better that you're not getting the reaction you want. It's somebody came up with this, and then just everybody bought in because they wanted to, so that they could have some kind of justification when they don't get the reaction they want. If it's the opposite reaction, that it's still equally as good because they're still getting a reaction. Somebody came up with it, and then everybody just bought in wholesale. I don't, and neither should you. So let's continue on here with this article. According to Flair, her perception to fans changes from event to event. As an example, Flair noted that her recent live event match against Piper Niven in Nottingham, England, got her cheers, where Niven received boos, and then the night prior in Belfast, Ireland, Northern Ireland, she got the opposite reaction. She said, quote, "I love that I can take people on that roller coaster. Either way, if we don't hear anything, then we worry." Looking ahead to, okay, then it just promotes WrestleMania. Well, yeah. I mean, here's what I'll concede is that you'd rather have some reaction than no reaction. I would agree with that. But the lie that's being sold and that the talent are buying into is that getting a opposite reaction that of your desired one is equally as good as getting the desired reaction that you were trying to get. That's not true. It means you're not doing your job. And sometimes people boo you because if you're trying to get cheered and they boo you, because you're channel changing bad. That does exist. And I've had debates with people on this too, where, you know, I've said, well, there are heels and there are characters that I have seen that make me want to change the channel. They're so bad and so just embarrassing that it makes me want to change the channel. It doesn't even want to make me see them get fake beat up. It makes me want to just not watch. And then people have said, well, let's see, that's what heels do. They're supposed to anger you. Okay, there's a difference between being angered and appreciating how good a heel is, that it makes you want to see their character get beat up. That's the desire you're going for, because you will pay money, subscribe to networks, attend live events to watch the bad guy get their ass kicked. The opposite of that is you have a character that is so off-putting that you don't want to watch at all, and you literally watch something else. That's the difference that sometimes people cannot delineate between. So, yeah, sure, no reaction's the worst, but don't try to sell me that the same opposite reaction, the same level of volume, but the opposite reaction is just as good as if you got the reaction you're going for. No, it's not. Okay. No, just stop. But I love the roller coaster. I mean, the Vince McMahon stuff, man. I love what Vince did to this business. I really do. And I know I'm not saying I love Vince McMahon. I love what he has allowed us to do as a part of this business. And you and I are a part of this business. We are. We may not be running it, but we're offshoots of it. We have memories in our lives because of it. So, but that's a Vince McMahon line right there. Oh, the roller coaster, we're taking them on a ride. You can just hear Vince saying it. You know, I don't know. Charlotte needs to just, she's got all these canned responses that she just, got bullet points from The Office. The Office printed out a bunch of stuff of, well, if they ask me this, what do I say? And it's like she got a printout from management and said, okay, I'll say these things. It's such corporate responses. It's just nonsense. Nonsense. I don't know. All right. There's a lot more stories here. John Cena, though, did say, and this is actually an article that was published a couple of hours ago. This is the last thing I'll mention, then we'll wrap it up. So John Cena, quote, promises more unpredictability ahead of the final match. So this is what the article says. A month removed, WWE is still adjusting to the new attitudes of John Cena, following a shocking heel turn and alignment with The Rock at the Elimination Chamber. Now, looking ahead to WrestleMania 41, in which John Cena will challenge Cody Rhodes, it appears that fans can even expect even more surprises from him. He said, quote, I'm going to say that there's more unpredictability on the way. That's what Cena told People magazine. And when an outlet then inquired about the specific path of Cena's heelish character, Cena deflected seemingly to keep in line with the aforementioned element of uncertainty. He said, quote, here's the stance I'm going to take on it. And I think hopefully I can put it in terms you can understand. We're in the middle of a very riveting season of episodic television, and you are kindly asking me to give you spoilers, and I can't do that. What I did really enjoy about your question is you expressed the unpredictability of WWE programming, and I think that's one strong point the current state of WWE is, that it's unpredictable in its programming. That's a smart response. So I guess whatever that unpredictability is, maybe it is truly a surprise appearance. While we all think we know his schedule, he could show up and do something that really pisses us off. I hope that happens. I hope he does. I hope he shows up the night before WrestleMania. I hope he shows up the Monday before WrestleMania. I do. So unpredictability is the name of the game right now, and I think it's always a good thing as a wrestling fan. All right. That'll do it for me. If you guys want to go ad-free, patreon.com. I'm inviting you personally to head on over there. There's a 7-day free trial if you want to try us out before you commit to anything. And you can get a Discord server to chat with other fans. You can go on Apple Podcasts if you just want to use the native Apple Podcast app. That's available to you. Just subscribe there. Or, Spotify as well. Spotify has an ad-free experience. So check us out everywhere that podcasts are available. We will likely be doing live shows soon. I'll have to figure that out in my schedule as well. Maybe it'll be the Raw review. Maybe it'll be the Sunday night one. Sunday night one is our biggest show, download numbers wise. So I think that maybe that's a more likely show to talk about, because then you can cover everything that happened during the week and look forward to what's going to happen in the upcoming week. So perhaps Sunday is going to be the live show. There'll be a number attached to it. You can call in. I got to get my feet wet in this software and figure out what to do, and I'll keep you guys updated. So that'll do it, everybody. I thank you for joining us here on the WWE Podcast. Follow us on X at wrestling_audio. Check us out there, and I'll be back on Friday with your mailbag. So, guys, until then, take care.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.